bit about this amazing community and how you can get more involved after attending PLANCKS. So the International Association of Physics Students is essentially the link for physics students around the globe. And we have four main aims, which are described in the IAPS Charter, which is, as you can see there, to support young physicists, to build international bridges, encourage peaceful international collaborations, and promote professional and social networking. So IAPS was founded in 1987, in September, in Budapest, about a year after the first international conference of physics students, which was organized by Hungarian physics students. And of course, 30-something years later, here we are. It is characterized as a non-profit, non-governmental organization, headquartered in Mulhouse, coinciding with the headquarters of the European Physical Society, which is and has been for a long time one of our main supporters, our main supporter, in fact. And it is governed by an executive committee with several subcommittees or working groups associated. So as you can see there, the IAPS General Meeting is the essential decision-making body. It comprises of all of the members of IAPS, including our current 22 national committees, 23 local committees, and about 100 individual members, several of which, of course, joined to be able to attend PLANCKS. So it is governed by an executive committee of 9 people, and currently we have several tens of thousands of students associated with IAPS from almost 60 countries around the world. So you can see there our nice geographic spread. In blue, you can see the national committees, in green, the local committees, and in yellow, the individual members. And here, just the spread of the logos of all of the student organizations connected to IAPS. So in terms of activities, in addition to PLANCKS, of course, you can see the logo of PLANCKS 2020, which happened in December of last year there. We also have an annual excursion to CERN, which is IAPS to CERN. We hope next year we can already resume the organization of this activity. We also have, of course, the International Conference of Physics Students. I'm going to speak a bit more about this later. And we have events more related to outreach, like the International Day of Light, where we try to get our member societies to organize some interesting events, and the IAPS School Day, where we try to encourage our members to go to high schools, for example, to talk a bit about a physics topic every year. And we also have JIAPS, which is the Journal of IAPS, of which I'm going to speak a bit more in just a minute. So the International Conference of Physics Students, as I had mentioned in the beginning, is the founding event of IAPS. It is an annual conference organized since 1986, open to all members of IAPS, usually around 350 to 500 participating students. There's room for guest and student lectures, excursions, poster sessions. There's also a worldwide grant, which is a financial support that we try to provide to students who need it. And the last one was in 2019. It was in physical presence. And unfortunately, last year we weren't able to have the one in Puebla, Mexico, but it's going to be next year. So hopefully a lot of you can join us for that conference as well. Oh, and I forgot to mention that this year, if you can search for ICPS 2021, you can actually still register until May 16th. It's important to mention. So you can see here the picture from ICPS 2019, a lot of physics students grouped together there. So regarding PLANCKS, of course, you most likely already know all of this. So it's a physics student competition, but of course, as Sofia mentioned, you're going to have a whole range of activities to attend. The last one was in December 2020. The current one, which you are attending, is of course organized from Porto, and next year it's going to be organized, hopefully in physical presence in Munich, Germany. So the Journal of IAPS is an annual volume which reports on IAPS events and projects, including by member societies, for example. There are scientific or general articles that students connected to IAPS can contribute with. And there's also an article contest and a creative competition for those physics students more interested in the arts as well. So you can see here just a brief spread of IAPS events across the year. And of course, in terms of external relations, the main supporter has been, as I had mentioned, the European Physical Society. We are currently in the process of becoming affiliated with the International Union of Pure and Applied Physics, which, as you know, is a really major organization in this field that we are studying in. We have very recently, in fact, on May the 4th, signed a memorandum of understanding with the International Astronomical Union, which I think is going to be really important for students, especially those interested in astrophysics, to be able to connect to the large community of IAU. And we also have several collaborations or memorandums of understanding in preparation with all of those organizations that you see there. So it's really important that as you start becoming more active in IAPS, that you also try to be engaged with all of these organizations. So just to finalize here, you can see there the 9 faces of the current IAPS Executive Committee. So as I had mentioned, we have working groups associated to the Executive Committee in which actually any student that is either a member of a national or local committee of IAPS or any individual member of IAPS can participate in these working groups. So all you have to do is just send an email to ec@iaps.info there and saying that you're interested in participating in one of the working groups, and you'll be very welcomed in helping us carry out all of the necessary management of IAPS and all of the projects that we have in development. So you can also see there all of the IAPS social media, the website on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn, and I invite you to follow us on all of that social media. And just to finalize, of course, as you know, IAPS is for physics students, by physics students. So I want to thank everybody again for attending this amazing event, and hopefully you can join a lot of other IAPS activities and projects throughout the time you are studying in. So now I will just give the floor back to Sofia of the organizing committee so she can show you the presentation by the European Physical Society. Sofia.
Thank you, Duarte. So as Duarte said, I'm going to share the presentation of the EPS president. Let me just confirm something. Exactly.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Luc Bérge, and I am the president of the European Physical Society. It is a great pleasure for me to open the 2021 edition of the Physics League across numerous countries for kick-ass students. PLANCKS, that's the acronym of this event, was first organized in the Netherlands in 2014, and then was co-organized, and still is, with the help of the International Association of Physics Students. PLANCKS aims at fostering interactions of physics students from different countries over the world and increasing international collaboration through, in particular, the solving of physics problems as various as the physics of the snowplow, the physics of multi-layer absorption, that of harmonic oscillators, or even the physics of laser ionization, to mention a few, for instance. PLANCKS is a physics competition for bachelor and master students. It lasts over 36 hours non-stop, and each participating country delegates one team. Usually, it contains an opening symposium, the contest itself, and it is also combined with numerous excursions and social activities where the participants are encouraged to discover the research environment and the culture of the hosting country. Unfortunately, this year there will be no hosting country because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Initially, Porto in Portugal was planned to be this country, which makes that the present competition will be held online. This required an efficient organization committee, and I would like to take the present opportunity for thanking very much the young volunteers who took in charge the organization of this meeting and made it possible today. Physics students from everywhere in the world will be able to compete independently of their own time zone, with several activities planned round the clock. I saw on the PLANCKS website that the prizes which will be remitted at the end of this event are really impressive, as they are expressed in dozens of trillions of Planck constant units. I noticed that the organizers were clever enough to choose the reduced version of this constant, that divided by 2 pi, which makes the prizes even more impressive, thus attractive. Well, this is exactly the kind of initiative which the European Physical Society loves to support, and therefore I'm glad and proud to declare the 2021 edition of the PLANCKS competition officially opened. I hope to be among you for the prize announcement during the closing ceremony. Waiting for this, I would like to wish good luck and good work to all the participants. Please enjoy a studious but festive atmosphere.
So thank you to Luke, and now I give the word to David Lee. I will make you a co-host to share the screen. I believe you're now able to share your screen.
I am.
Perfect, perfect. Go ahead.
And then that one. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is David Lee. I am the Secretary General of the European Physical Society. I've been working with IAPS for about 20 years. And I must admit, it has evolved quite significantly from the beginning. It's been hosted by the European Physical Society for about the last 15 years. And I'd like to give you a brief overview of what is the European Physical Society. The EPS was founded in 1968 on a good idea. In 1968, you have to understand, Europe was divided. There was a wall that ran down the middle of it. It kept scientists from interacting with one another. And the European Physical Society said, we need to create an apolitical body that will allow physics to continue. There was good physics being done in Eastern Europe. There was good physics being done in Western Europe. And politics shouldn't keep physicists apart so that they can continue to collaborate and work with one another. If you're wondering where Mulhouse is, it's the white dot in France. France is here, and the white dot is here. So it's on the French-German-Swiss border. If you take a radius of 500 kilometers, which is about what you can travel in a day in a car or comfortably in a train, about 70% of Europe's population lives in that region. So it is really, really centrally located in Europe. The EPS is a lot of things. It's different than IAPS because it has member societies from 42 different countries. But we also have individual members, very similar to IAPS. And we have about 3,500 of those. We also have divisions and groups and committees. Through all of the EPS bodies, we represent well over 100,000 physicists in Europe. Our divisions and groups are bottom-up initiatives created by different scientific communities in Europe, the nuclear physics community, the condensed matter physics community, high energy physics, etc. We also have interdisciplinary groups, and the groups provide techniques or technologies for various fields. Computational physics, accelerator physics, for example, are used in various fields in physics. Our main activities are those of a learned society. We run conferences, we provide grants, we give prizes and awards. We also have two refereed scientific journals, EPL and EPJ. We have a news magazine, EPN, and we have an online news bulletin, EEPS. We've started a new newsletter, which deals with Brussels and Brussels affairs. For the moment, that is sent to members of the EPS Executive Committee and EPS divisions and groups. Hopefully that will become accessible to a wider community later on. One of the main things that the members of the European Physical Society, the European Physical Society is a member society. So the members decide what the EPS is going to do. One of the things that our members want us to do is to be involved in physics policy, in making science policy in Europe. So we've been working very hard for the last 5 years to be able to do that. We have a point of presence in Brussels, and we organize many meetings with decision makers at the Brussels level to better understand how the framework programs are going to impact physics and physics research. We do that also within our committees and our divisions and groups as well. Our Foreign Physics Society, for example, is working on a vast project, which is to look at all fields of physics and how physics and physics research might shape society in the next 30 years. Once that document is ready, I really think that it will increase the visibility and impact of the European Physical Society. We've also engaged in a series of Train the Trainers workshops aimed at mostly our member societies and our divisions and groups to show our members how to interact with decision makers. Because we understand that for any one of a number of reasons, science policy making, science funding is in a really competitive environment. So we need to be able to convince all of these actors that supporting science and scientific research is important for a lot of different reasons. And in Horizon Europe, you'll hear a lot more about it in the coming years. Citizen science is going to be a growing field. So one of the things that you will be asked to do as researchers later in your career is to explain your research to the general public and to policymakers. We also are working on a series, what we call our evidence base. One of the main documents in evidence base is a document called the EPS study on the importance of physics to the economies of Europe. Physics is a main, when you take a look at physics-based industries, really it makes a real positive contribution to Europe, the European economy, but it also makes positive contributions to social cohesion. It makes positive contributions to intellectual development. So these are all things that the European Physical Society puts forward when we talk with policymakers. We also encourage the next generation of physicists. We can see that this has been a very positive policy from the European Physical Society. The age of people involved in EPS committees, EPS conferences, EPS organization has decreased over the last few years, which is a good thing. And that's thanks to organizations such as IAPS, but it's also thanks to our Young Minds sections, and it's thanks to EPS actions in early career prizes to show that there is a lot of talent in early career physicists. And we also try to encourage interaction, exchange, network building through conference grants. As I say, we've been working with IAPS for a long time. And the relationship is symbiotic. I think the European Physical Society would be poorer without IAPS, and I think that IAPS would be poorer without the European Physical Society. IAPS is different, as I said before, than the EPS. And it's the I and the E that change the perspective. EPS is European, and we have lots of sister societies on other continents that are at times our competitors. The American Physical Society, or the Optical Society of America. The International Association of Physics Students said that it was international to begin with. So there are no other competing European Association of Physics Students or the American Association of Physics Students. So the scope is a little bit different. The EPS supports all of the activities of IAPS. You learned about those in the first presentation, so I'm not going to talk about them further. But all of those activities do fit into a general scheme of community building and outreach, which are the main themes of the European Physical Society as well. I think this is my last slide, so I'll end here. And I don't know who is responsible for the acronym PLANCKS. And I know that the first time that I read kick-ass in the acronym, I thought, is that really going to be acceptable to everyone? But I guess it has, or it has become acceptable to everyone. PLANCKS has been recognized as an exceptional student competition. So what I would like to wish all of you is kick some ass.
So thank you so much, David Lee. I believe we will have a lot of teams kicking some ass. So now I give the word to Professor Mário Monteiro, who is the head professor of our Physics and Astronomy department here in the University of Porto. Professor, are you there?
I am, Sofia. Thank you.
If you want, you can share your screen.
No need. Thank you.
Perfect.
So I will be very brief. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I guess it depends on where you are, to everyone. My wish is that you are well and safe in these complicated times. So, as Sofia said, I'm Mário Monteiro. I'm an astronomer at the University of Porto, and I'm here addressing you on behalf of the Department of Physics at the Faculty of Science of the University of Porto. I would be slightly happier if I could welcome you in person, to all of you, but it's also fun to actually have the opportunity to talk with you today. So especially because it is a very diversifying audience covering most of the globe, that's really impressive. It's excellent to see that. Indeed, science is a very privileged way to motivate us to interact, to share our enjoyment in science across borders, and in this case also across oceans. And it's really nice to see it at play in such a meeting as this one. So PLANCKS is really an excellent example on how our fun in doing science can really bring us together, very different people with the same goal. So I hope you enjoy your participation in this event and get to know, even from a distance, but get to know other fellow lovers of physics. So compete, but above all, I think what I would recommend is that you have fun in doing so. Okay? So allow me just a very short few minutes to tell you a little bit about the Department of Physics and Astronomy here at University of Porto. So we are one of the departments of the Faculty of Science. Our university is actually celebrating 110th birthday this year. Physics was one of the initial departments. It's interesting to note that when the polytechnic schools moved to the university system in Portugal 110 years ago, the University of Porto was created, and one of the first departments that actually were created together with the university was the physics department. So that shows you how physics is really central to the university system. Physics and astronomy here in Porto, it covers the several core areas of research and teaching. So mainly we are centered around astronomy, of course, physics, and also physics engineering. Those are the three main components of our research and teaching. We have several hundred researchers with a PhD that work in the department and in the research institutes connected to the department. And therefore these are the institutes that Sofia showed you that support and you will have the opportunity to hear a bit more about the research that is being done in those institutes. In terms of science, we do and teach, we do cover what is usually called universe sciences. So it goes from stars to cosmology, going to all the range of topics in astrophysics and related areas, astrobiology and all that. We also have theoretical physics, of course, so that includes gravitation to condensed matter and fundamental interactions, but also a very strong component on experimental and applied physics. So from medical physics, lasers, nanomaterials, nanotechnologies, and of course, including also advanced and innovative instrumentation and technologies. This is, I hope not for this event, but eventually you will visit us and you'll have a chance to see the labs and the research we do here in Porto. Regarding teaching, let me just spend 1 minute there. We do have 2 undergraduate degrees, so one on physics, which includes astrophysics, and the other one on physics engineering. And then we have several master's and PhD degrees. We have actually 3 PhD degrees. So one for astronomy, one for physics, and the other one for physics engineering. Let me also add, because this is really an international audience, that our postgraduate degrees most of them are offered in English, and some of them are actually fully in English, regardless on who is attending. So we do welcome several foreign students from everywhere, from Europe, but also many from outside Europe. I would say probably almost from all continents. So it's a nice group of students. And of course, we also are involved in several mobility programs to welcome students from everywhere. So if you have a semester to spend outside your university, do visit us, do come here. And of course, if you are looking for a PhD or a master's, also do visit us. And Porto is a very nice city, if I may do the advertisement here. So it's always successful with the students that visit us. It's a very friendly, not very large, but very friendly with the nightlife, very active, very young environment. So people really enjoy to spend some time here, either for short visits or for longer visits. We do have a very active group of students, physics students, as you may have discovered by now. We are very proud of these students, and in particular, I would like really to congratulate our students for putting up the organization of this event. The department is always happy to support our students in their activities, their initiatives, and we are really happy that they are active and very professional in the way they do this. So let me just finish by saying that I hope you will visit us for now online, but I also hope, and I hope soon you will be able to visit us in person, either for a short visit or even for a longer visit or to follow one of our courses. We are very happy to welcome you. And so I finish by again thanking the organization, the opportunity to be here, to wish you all a very pleasant and successful competition. But remember, most of all, have fun competing. That's and get to know people even from a distance. And so all the best to all of you, and I hope to see you sometime in future. Thank you, Sofia.
Thank you so much, Professor. Thank you for your words and for helping us make PLANCKS 2021 come to life. So now I give the word to Professor Garcia from Paulo Garcia, Professor, I apologize, from the Department of Engineering Physics of the University of Porto.
Good afternoon, everybody. I have a short presentation on what we do at the department. And when I was preparing this presentation, I was just wondering what I'm going to write to you guys, because I realized that I'm 30 years older than you, more or less. You are probably on your 20s. I'm on my 50 approaching. And so what can I do that makes sense for you? And I just looked at an image that we all know, where we have here a pale blue dot. This is our planet. This is stray light. This line here is stray light. And what can we do for the future when you guys are 50 years old, like me? And what can we do as physicists? And the current situation is not very nice. Lots of pollution everywhere, and lots of inequality everywhere. And so we have here a photo that says almost everything. We have a paradisiacal place. I'd like to be here, but because of the pollution, I don't think any one of us would like to be here. And how can we as physicists do something about it? And my presentation is a little bit about changing the world with physics, and of course we have to do it having fun. If you're not having fun, there is something wrong with our lives. And so what I'm going to show you is what we at the engineering physics department are doing to change the world, and at the same time having fun. And so we need a framework, how I'm going to frame this. And there is now this very famous approach of sustainable goals. And I decided, let's just see, to do this exercise, how is our department doing with these goals, which in a way will shape the future in the next 30 years. Maybe in the short run, for us, they will make no difference. We live in a very particular place, most of us here, because we are in a developed country. We have access to resources. This is not the usual situation in the globe, but this gives us, of course, enhanced responsibility. And so I from these goals, I went through them, and then I start checking. So quality education is obvious, something that is obvious that we all do, but what are we doing more that such that anyone can access it? And this is very important. And we actually have lots of free resources for university physics learning in Portuguese language, some of them in English. From text with exercises and lectures, but also with videos, which are a very important way of learning. Just a word is not enough, but seeing someone explaining is much better. So we are trying to work on this and to contribute globally to this. Gender equality is really something very, very important, and in physics also. So as physicists, as a community, we should care about it. And in our department, we had excuse me. So in our department, we have we had a director that was Elena, so female director. The current head of the doctoral program is also a female. Actually, Elena is a very, let's say, famous people in the media. The media like her a lot, and she was recognized as personality of the year 2020. And this is very important for us, not to have someone recognized, but also a female physicist is very, very, very important. And of course, also we have activities of leadership in pedagogy for engineering. And so I did some statistics, and we have a quite important fraction of female professors at our department. The range varies if you take junior or senior positions or all positions, but this is fairly okay. We have to do better, and we want to do better. Energy is also a really important topic. And of course, energy, there are many sources of energy. Here at the department, we are particularly interested in two types of energy. One of them is nuclear fusion. And nuclear fusion is, of course, virtually inexhaustible. This is very, very much true. If it is environmentally friendly, we can discuss it a little bit. It's still so young as an energy production way that let's say, for us humans, because it's probably the oldest or one of the oldest energy productions ways in the universe. But if it is environmentally friendly, we have to check. But since the beginning, people are thinking about it. And so how can a physicist contribute to this? Basically, we have research on plasma instabilities. Plasma instabilities are something that are very important, because if an instability develops, you are basically in bad shape. So understanding plasma instabilities, which looks like a fundamental physics problem without any practical application of that is usable to the common man and woman in the street, is actually very important. And I just have here to show you the effect of a plasma instability is to reduce the temperature generally. And so this is bad for fusion, of course. And we also have more fundamental research on plasma discharges, with some of them technological applications. Of course, energy is a very wide field, and it is also very important to address how can we store energy. Storing energy is, of course, very important. So we do some work on solid-state batteries, and they are flexible, and flexible means really flexible. You can bend them, and safe and environment friendly again. And probably the most interesting aspect here is the long life cycle, and of course also other types of batteries. As you know, and everybody knows, we always need a battery, and physicists can contribute to this critical item of our lives and of the lives of many people and many applications and hardware. Cooling is also important. So there is also work on magnetic refrigeration and related to this topic. Of course, the idea here is, again, have a device that will not contribute to global warming and cool. Of course, the technological readiness level is very, very low, but this is really important for us if we want to contribute as physicists to a better world. And also, I do think that fundamental physics is very important, and work on 2D materials can actually have a lot of applications in the future. One obvious application is energy transportation, and also on film depositions. We have films everywhere, and for example, my glasses have films, and all the future, let's say, of visualization and interaction with computer will be through glasses and through films on glasses. We all want, of course, decent economic growth and work. This is something I think it's very independent of what you do in life. And this is, of course, very related to innovation, industry, of course, and infrastructure. And our department has several patents on the energy storage, and this is really very important. And we have research on residual tensions, and what these residual tensions in materials, so what are they? They basically can break your material, and this is very important if you are doing pieces of hardware with additive manufacturing, for example, a 3D printer that works with metals, which is something that is absolutely critical. Of course, fracture can appear, and you cannot see it directly, and you use an X-ray, which all of us know what it is. And this is really a fundamental aspect of the study of these components. And this is also a contribution from the department. And my last slide is about the partnerships. Of course, physics research is a natural tool for partnerships. This was already said by my previous speakers, and we work on partnerships in international organizations to develop instrumentation. So this is it, everything I had to tell you. Have fun during the day, and if you want to do a master or a PhD with us, just send an email, and we'll be more than willing to listen to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Paulo. Thank you so much for your presentation, introduction of the department, and also for, again, supporting us to make these planks possible. So now I give the last word to Rita Bugalhão, who is the president of the Physics Society here in the University of Porto, who is the body behind PLANCKS too. So, Rita?
Hi everyone, like Sofia said, I'm the president of FhysikUP, and since the organizing committee is a team of 10 people from FhysikUP, I'm here to tell you a little bit about this. Just a little bit. Okay, so we were founded in 2015, and ever since we're divided in 4 departments: Inreach, Outreach, Recreational, and Communication. Starting with Inreach, like the name suggests, is a department focused on what's happening inside our faculty departments. So we organize lectures with professors, PhD students, and alumni. Then we also organize visits to the university's institutes, and all of this is for the students, the younger students, to be aware of what type of investigation is happening inside the department and what they will do in the future. Then the outreach department, again, like the name suggests, is focused on what's happening outside our universities and faculties departments. Here we organize visits to companies and research centers outside the department, and this is for people, younger students who don't want to pursue an academic career, to be more aware of the job opportunities and the future careers that they can have. Then we also like to promote physics to younger students. So we often visit middle schools and high schools. And since PLANCKS is an IAPS event, it also makes sense to point out that we also participate in IAPS School Day. Then there's the recreational department, which is the fun department. And starting with the mentorship program, this is a program that is built to help freshmen or international students that arrive to our campus. And they are assigned a mentor, and the mentor is supposed to help them through the semester, the year, or even the degree, so that they feel more integrated and break the ice between students. Then we also have competitions like chess, quizzes. You also have quizzes on PLANCKS, esports, and so on. Then on a more chill note, we have movie nights and students gatherings. Last but not least, we have the communication department, and they obviously organize and manage social media and IT, but they also have, they are also responsible for organizing a magazine. Here you can find interviews to our professors, alumni, students, suggestions of games, movies related to physics. And we also have a podcast where a member of FhysikUP, our students association, interviews on a more informal note an older student or professor, so that again we can break the ice and get to know each other a little bit better. Unfortunately, both the magazine and the podcast are only available in Portuguese, but if you're learning, we advise you to go check it out. Finally, if you ever come to Porto and are interested in one of our activities or even just social gathering, feel free to contact us, and thank you.
Thank you, Rita. So that was PhysikUP rules. Sorry, I had to say that. So now on to the last part of our opening ceremony. So let me share again the slides. So it's just a little bit of housekeeping, because as you've seen, we have a really big event, people from different backgrounds, so it's never enough, or it's always good to remind people of some of the rules and how the event is going to work. So first of all, if you have any questions, just use Discord as much as you want. We have appropriate channels for questions about the competition, for questions about the general activities, and so on. But if you also want to use email, you can email us at the ROC email, Organizing Committee email. Moreover, and this is very important, it's an online event, but you still need to follow the IAPS Code of Conduct, the PLANCKS rules, and the Discord server and Zoom rules that are laid out in the booklet. The booklet we sent out, we ask you to read it and reread it if something is not clear. And if you have any questions, always ask us before you do something. Like, for example, sharing a link. Don't share links. Moreover, during the competition, if we have any suspicion of cheating or if some rule is being broken, we will investigate. This is an online competition. The rules are not the usual rules as for the normal PLANCKS, which is a 4-hour competition. You have access to the internet, you have access to books, but still it is a competition, and we want it to be as fair as possible to all the participants. And of course, we have to warn you that if you don't comply with the rules, if you try to cheat, if you break any rule, we will disqualify or exclude you from the event. So please really be careful and try to read the rules that I laid out 2 points ago. And like I said, every single detail about the event should be, and probably is, on the booklet. So please go there. We have all the times of all the activities. We have the rules of Discord, Zoom, and Moodle. So read the booklet, and besides that, don't forget to enjoy PLANCKS 2021.